Please welcome someone I'm just a fan of, Cecily Strong, from her home in New York.
Yes.
How are
Hi,
you?
Tamron. I'm great. It's wonderful to be here. I'm such a fan of yours and so honored you're doing this. Thank you.
Oh, listen, I'm honored that you have stopped by to talk to us, showing such a personal side of your journey. As I said, we all watch you on SNL and you make us smile and you bring such joy. To contrast this with the truth of what was happening in your own life, particularly with Owen. Um, First of all, I know you said on your Instagram, this was not what you expected your first book to be about. What did you think you'd be writing about, your first book?
I assumed I could do like a book of essays, sort of just much funnier. I've always been a bit private until now with my personal life details. And so who knew I would be sort of publishing my therapy diary?
Which is
This
true.
past
I mean,
year.
I'll confess, one of the first things when people Google you, it says, Cecily Strong's private boyfriend or who's her. People have always Googled these things about you because you are so effervescent on TV, but so very private in your life. Why did you choose that path, knowing all the fame that was coming your way?
I think there's just some things you don't want to put out there. And then there was a lot that I think I still had to process, which is sort of what writing this book allowed me to do too. When I lost Owen, like that was the first time I lost him in January and felt like I couldn't really talk about it, didn't know how to talk about it yet because I didn't want to, it just felt like I'm going to drop the heaviest thing onto every conversation. And it's just so sad that I didn't really know how to even talk about it
Yeah.
until those 2 weeks alone in my apartment with everything happening and sort of feeling like I had fallen apart in a bit. So putting myself back together, and I had all this time then to grieve and try to find the best way I could grieve.
In the book, you talk about Owen and what you read at his memorial service. You said, I told Owen often that he was my hero, and he was. And even though I hate even bringing up his cancer, I do so because that year and a half, Owen somehow took on the role of our fearless leader, showing all of us how to fight, how to smile, how to stay full of love. Oh my goodness, I see the tears in your eyes. Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm a crybaby. So
me
don't.
too. Crying is contagious where I'm from, and I feel you. And I thought a lot about when I lost my sister and just that grief process and having to go back to work where everyone's watching you, right? And you go back to being this star, thinking of him. How is it now having the book done and knowing you're going to face another season of SNL?
What was sort of the what I think of as a gift from him was that I had this really great navigator. I've called him like a North Star for going through COVID because this was a really scary, unprecedented. We don't know if you're going to live or die. We don't know what's happening. I was like, it's not dissimilar to brain cancer. And Owen lived with that reality and told his dad, despite the brain cancer, this was the best year of my life. Like he fell in love, he sang, he danced, he had a big blowout 30-year-old birthday party. So it was like I'm just trying to follow that example of sort of, optimism and hope is a choice. And that's the side I want to be on. My other cousin, Lita, she's in that picture too. And, we've had each other to lean on as well. So that's really having her around is very.
Well, it's interesting
really
you
helpful.
mentioned Lita and your closeness, Owen's sister. She has something she wants to share about what you mean to her. Take a look.
Cecily is probably my favorite person. I know everybody knows how hilarious she is, but I always tell people she's as kind and compassionate as she is funny. She has one of the biggest hearts on the planet. She's the person that you call if you want someone to make you laugh, but she's also the person you call when you're crying. We lost my brother and gained, my my strong sister. That has meant more to me than I'll ever describe. Just my biggest cheerleader, such an invaluable support. You know, I wish I had the words to express, but I love her so much. I really don't know where I'd be without her.
Can I tell you, Cecily, watching you all these years and hearing Lita describe you, that's exactly how I imagine you were behind the scenes, off camera. That you are exactly that way in my head.
Well, that's very nice of both you and Lita are giving me way too much credit, but I'll take it.
You know, looking toward the future, now that you've finished this book and you have given up some of that privacy that you so cherish, what do you see next professionally with SNL, all the speculation? What do you see here?
You know, what's nice is I feel very open to finding things. You know, last year I didn't know I'd be writing that book, and I wrote that book, and it's brought some great things into my life and conversation and connections. And I got to shoot Schmigadoon, which was so wonderful and magical and special to me. And it's like, I'm just sort of trying to keep following that path of like, well, if I'm open to things, I want to keep surprising myself and just sort of, not to sound corny, but like following my heart in that way. Or following my gut. Like, this feels right. This feels new and exciting, and, you know, losing any idea of any kind of path that I'm supposed to take, and
Right.
and being okay with that.
So basically, you're not saying yes or no to anything right now.
Yeah. Yes. I'm be open to saying yes and no to everything.